You probably think Aldi's eggs are just another affordable staple, but what if I told you there's a dark story behind those cartons? From undercover footage showing mistreated hens to federal fines for price fixing, Aldi's egg supplier has a history you won't see on the label. So before you scramble up your next breakfast, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll know the side of Aldi's eggs that the marketing doesn't show you, and trust me, once you hear it, you'll never look at them the same way again. 1. The dark side of Aldi's egg supply chain.
And there's a growing concern over bird flu, egg shortages. People are hearing all about them, and the higher prices that come with them are really hitting home.
So, to begin with, Aldi sources its eggs from Rose Acre Farms, the supplier with a troubled history of ethical and safety violations. Back in 2010, the Humane Society filed a complaint accusing the company of misleading customers with false claims of humane treatment. What they advertised as above-standard care was far from what undercover footage revealed. Hens crammed into filthy cages, subjected to rough handling, and living in conditions that no marketing label could justify. The problems didn't stop there. In 2018, the FDA uncovered more shocking blunders in basic cleanliness and hygiene at Rose Acre facilities, including inadequate control of rodent infestations and unsanitary practices that raised many concerns about food safety. Then, just 5 years later, in 2023, the company was ordered to pay millions in fines for artificially restricting the egg supply, to keep prices inflated and putting profit before people's health and safety. If the supplier's track record wasn't enough to make you think twice, wait until you see what the idea of cheap really means when it comes to Aldi's eggs. 2. The truth behind cheap eggs. It's easy to assume that lower prices mean better value, but with Aldi's eggs, the story is more complicated. Cheap often comes with hidden costs, and in this case, those costs fall on both consumers and the chickens themselves. Egg production at industrial levels is built around volume, not quality. By keeping prices low, suppliers are forced to cut corners on living conditions, on sanitation, and sometimes even on basic oversight. That bargain carton in your fridge may have been produced in an environment where profit margins matter more than animal care or food safety. For consumers, this raises another concern. If corners are cut in, how the chickens are treated, what else is being overlooked? Controlling disease, preventing contamination, and maintaining clean facilities are expensive commitments. When the focus shifts to cost-cutting, those commitments don't always make the priority list. And while the egg carton looks clean and reassuring, the system behind it tells another story. Aldi markets itself as the smart choice for families trying to save money. But with eggs, the savings come with risks that aren't written on the label. The conditions under which those eggs are produced can affect not only the ethical footprint of your purchase, but also the long-term trust you place in the food you bring home. Cheap eggs come with hidden risks. If this is making you think twice, hit like and subscribe because the next part is even more alarming. 3. When food safety falls through the cracks. Most people assume that if a product is on the shelf, it is safe, obviously, because federal regulations and inspections are meant to protect consumers, right? So you trust that the eggs in your fridge are clean and healthy. But with Aldi's egg supplier, it's not the same. The trust has been shattered more than once because when farmers cut corners on hygiene, the risk isn't just minor, it has serious consequences on your health. Contamination from bacteria like salmonella can spread vastly, and because eggs are a must-have in every household, even a single lapse can be fatal. The scale of Rose Acre Farms makes this particularly concerning. As one of the largest egg producers in the country, any failure in basic cleanliness doesn't just stay on the farm, it travels across distribution networks and into homes nationwide. For shoppers, this raises a harsh reality. If a retailer prioritizes low costs over proven supplier integrity, how much confidence can you really have in the safety of the food you bring to your table? And the issues didn't end with contamination. The courtroom revealed something even bigger. 4. The multi-million-dollar egg scandal. In 2023, Roseacre Farms was at the center of a courtroom battle that revealed just how far big egg producers will go to protect their earnings. They, along with other companies, were ordered to pay more than $17 million for controlling the supply of eggs between the years 2004 and 2008. These corporations deliberately limited the production and kept the prices high so they could force consumers to pay more for a product that should have been economical. This wasn't some accident or a mistake. It was simply a coordinated effort to restrict how many eggs reached the market, creating artificial shortage while boosting the company's profits. The case revealed the inner workings of an industry where business decisions are often made at the expense of the everyday shopper. Families who thought they were simply paying the going rate for a carton of eggs were unknowingly caught in a price-fixing scheme. For Aldi customers, this connection matters. When a supplier has a history of putting profit before fairness, it makes you wonder, what else might they be hiding? Low prices today can cover up past mistakes, and shoppers deserve to know the full story behind the product they buy. The scandal revealed more than greed. It showed how much power lies in perception. And in the egg industry, perception is carefully crafted through marketing and packaging that tell consumers exactly what they want to hear. Which brings us to the illusion of farm fresh. But the courtroom only revealed one side of the problem because outside the legal battles, the industry has another powerful weapon: marketing. 5. The marketing illusion of farm fresh. Step into the supermarket and take a look at any egg carton. You'll see the efforts they've put in to make them look appealing. Bright colors, peaceful farm scenes, and smiling hens are everywhere, designed to make you believe these eggs come from a small, caring farm rather than a massive industrial facility. The truth, however, is far messier than it seems. Calling eggs farm fresh doesn't actually mean anything in the eyes of the law. The phrase doesn't guarantee that the hens were treated properly, that the farm was clean, or that the eggs are any better for you. Nope, not at all. At the end of the day, it is simply a marketing term, carefully chosen to appeal to emotions rather than facts. For anyone buying Aldi eggs, it's a reminder that the cartons that seem honest and farm fresh could actually come from the same large-scale farms with a track record of red flags. And this works because we all want to feel reassured about the food we buy. We like to think it comes from small, caring farms where the animals are healthy and well looked after. And companies know this, crafting packaging that tells exactly that story even when the reality is very different. So once you look past the labels, you'll see the damage isn't just ethical, it's environmental too. 6. Environmental costs of egg farming. Most people don't think about the environmental cost behind a simple carton of eggs, and the reality is far from harmless, especially as Aldi focuses only on low-cost, high-volume production. But water usage is just the beginning. Industrial egg farms use a shocking amount of water. Just one egg can take up to 200 to 300 liters to produce, when you include water for feed, drinking, and cleaning. Imagine the amount with tens of thousands of hens. That would add up to millions of liters every single day, whereas smaller pasture-based farms use much less water because they rely on natural rainfalls, rotate their grazing, and grow diverse crops so they don't need as much irrigation. And it gets worse when you look at the waste. Manure and waste runoff are another big problem. In industrial setup, hens are kept in densely packed cages or barns where they produce enormous amounts of farm waste. If it's not handled properly, it could reach the nearby streams or rivers, causing pollution, algal blooms, and harm to aquatic ecosystems, whereas the smaller ethical farms usually handle waste much better. They might compost it, use it to fertilize crops responsibly, or spread it across pastures to naturally improve the soil instead of polluting waterways. Energy use also adds to the burden. Industrial egg production requires hens to be kept in climate-controlled barns, which need constant heating, ventilation, and lighting. And on top of that, fuel is burned transporting eggs to big distribution centers and stores like Aldi, giving even a single egg a surprisingly big carbon footprint. Smaller local or regenerative farms usually do things differently. They might use renewable energy, simpler housing for hens, and shorter transportation routes, which helps cut down on greenhouse gas emissions. The truth is, cheap eggs come with a big environmental fallout. Aldi pumps out massive amounts of cheap eggs. Sure, it keeps the prices low, but as a result, it supercharges the environmental toll. More hens means more water, more waste, and more energy burned. All of this boosts up, putting an insignificant amount of pressure on the ecosystem, while the buyers just see a simple carton at the checkout. And here's where consumer responsibility comes in. The takeaway is clear. Buying cheap eggs isn't just about ethics or health, it also impacts the environment. Every carton adds to the demand for massive industrial farms. By choosing eggs from smaller, sustainable farms, you're supporting practices that use fewer resources, treat animals better, and are kinder to the planet. In short, thinking about where your eggs come from isn't just about taste or price, it's about the bigger picture. Climbing further down the list, here comes number 7. 7. Consumer health risks. Beyond salmonella. When most people think about egg safety, salmonella is usually the first thing that comes to mind. But industrial egg production brings a whole host of other health risks, many of them less obvious and often completely overlooked by everyday consumers. Beyond salmonella, there's another problem: bacterial contamination. When thousands of hens are crowded together, it creates perfect conditions for bacteria like E. coli and Campylobacter to grow. These germs can be anywhere on the eggshells or even inside the eggs. Poor hygiene, cross-contamination, or bad storage can turn an ordinary breakfast into a serious health risk. And it's not just hypothetical. Millions of eggs from industrial farms have been recalled in recent years because of bacterial contamination, affecting people all across the country. But bacteria aren't the only concern. On industrial farms, hens are often given antibiotics to prevent disease in crowded conditions, and some may even be exposed to pesticides through their feed. While regulations try to limit residues, tiny amounts can still end up in the eggs we eat. Eating these eggs over time could contribute to antibiotic resistance, hormonal disruption, and other long-term health problems. Some studies even suggest that regularly consuming eggs from conventional factory farms may increase the risk of metabolic or heart issues. Though research is still ongoing, it's better to be cautious. Just when you think bacteria are the biggest concern, there's another layer most people never even hear about. 8. Hormones and growth promoters. Even though hormones are banned in hens in the US and EU, some industrial feed practices can still sneak hormone-like chemicals into eggs. You might not notice anything at first, but over time, especially for kids and pregnant women, these compounds could quietly affect health. And the risks don't just stop at short-term concerns. Eating industrial, low-quality eggs regularly isn't just a short-term risk for food poisoning. It could also affect your health over the long run. Chemicals, residues, and inflammatory compounds in these eggs can quietly impact your gut, weaken your immune system, and even take a toll on heart health over time. But consumers aren't powerless when it comes to egg safety. There are simple steps that can make a big difference. Start by choosing eggs from smaller ethical farms or brands with strict quality standards, such as organic, pasture-raised, or antibiotic-free options. Always refrigerate eggs immediately and avoid buying ones that are cracked or dirty. Make sure to cook eggs thoroughly, with both whites and yolks firm, and avoid raw or lightly cooked eggs in dishes like homemade mayonnaise or dessert batters. Finally, practice good hygiene by washing your hands, utensils, and surfaces after handling raw eggs to prevent cross-contamination. In short, eggs are an everyday food for many households, but large-scale industrial production brings hidden health risks that go far beyond just salmonella. By opting for higher quality eggs and following safe handling and cooking practices, you can protect your health while still enjoying the convenience and nutrition that eggs provide. But eggs aren't just about hens and health. There's a human story here too, one that reveals the real price of keeping costs low. 9. Ethical versus industrial farming. The human angle. When we talk about egg production, most of the focus is on the hens, but the thing is, human cost is just as significant and is often neglected. Workers in large industrial egg farms face repetitive, physically demanding tasks every single day. Cleaning cages, collecting eggs, and carrying heavy feed bags all come with strict quotas and constant time pressure, leaving little chance for rest. Over time, this kind of work can lead to chronic back pain, joint issues, and other long-term muscle and joint injuries. And beyond the physical strain, the work environment itself could be pretty dangerous. Industrial barns are packed with thousands of hens, which causes them to produce ammonia from manure, and breathing in these surroundings can harm the lungs and worsens the condition like asthma. Investigative reports and whistleblower accounts reveal the harsh realities of industrial egg farms. Some workers describe 12-hour shifts in stifling heat with barely any ventilation, often handling sick or injured animals without proper support. Others say they're pressured to ignore unsafe practices or skip cleaning steps just to meet production quotas, putting both the animals and their own health at serious risk. In comparison to smaller, local, or ethical farms that usually offer a very different work environment. With fewer hens per facility, the work is less repetitive and more varied, which lowers the risk of chronic injuries. Air quality and sanitation are often better, and workers tend to receive fairer wages, safer conditions, and more respect. These farms may also allow more interaction with the animals, giving employees a sense of purpose and pride instead of the mechanical, dehumanizing labor seen in industrial operations. The takeaway is simple. Ethical farming choices impact more than just the hens. Buying from industrial consumers means supporting a system where both humans and animals are treated like a disposable part in a high-volume machine. While on the other hand, choosing eggs from the farms that focuses more on animal welfare and also supports safer and more humane conditions for their employees. Every carton you pick up carries an impact not for the animals, but for the people whose lives are tied to those eggs. Ultimately, the human side of the story makes the ethical argument even stronger. It shows that our food choices ripple outward, affecting the health, safety, and dignity of the people who make our meals possible. Choosing ethically sourced eggs isn't just a moral preference. It's a real way to protect human lives while supporting a more responsible and humane food system. So now that we've pulled back the curtain on the human toll, let's talk about what you can actually do the next time you're standing in the egg aisle. 10. How to be a smart egg shopper. Choosing eggs may look easy, but knowing how to shop smart is a whole different story. The first step is taking a closer look at the carton. Labels like cage-free mean hens aren't stuck in tiny battery cages, but they may still be packed indoors with little or no outdoor access. Free range usually promises some time outside, but how much and how good that access is can vary a lot. And farm fresh? That's mostly marketing. It doesn't guarantee better welfare or higher quality. The key is to look past the buzzwords and focus on certifications that actually mean something. Look for USDA Organic, which ensures that the hens are fed organic and aren't exposed to antibiotics. Other than that, Certified Humane are also reliable, which guarantees adequate space and humane treatment. Or Animal Welfare Approved, one of the strictest standards for animal care and ethical farming. Beyond certifications, sourcing eggs locally can make a big difference. Farmers markets, co-ops, or small local stores often carry eggs from pasture-raised hens, and buying local eggs means fresher eggs, less environmental impact, and maybe an opportunity to meet farmers about their practice. Take the Johnson's family, for example. They made the switch from cheap supermarket eggs to local pasture-raised ones and instantly saw the difference. Richer yolks, firmer whites, and the reassurance that their purchase supported animals and workers alike. Sure, the local eggs might be a bit pricier, but the payoff in flavor, health, and ethics are worth it. Smart egg shopping is just about knowing what to look for. In short, check for labels, prioritize label certification, and most important of all, if you can, buy local eggs. Remember, every carton you grab sends a signal about the kind of food system you want, and over time, those choices really make a difference. And once you know how to shop smarter, it's worth asking, do these small decisions really change anything? The answer is yes. 11. The ripple effect. How your purchase shapes the industry. What if I tell you that the carton you pick up at the stores could change the way the farm operates? It's easier to think that the one carton of eggs in your basket would not make any difference, but the truth is, every purchase matters. Consumers' choices are like tiny ripples in a pond, small on their own, but together they can create waves of change. When millions of people start prioritizing animal welfare, food safety, and environment, companies will take notice, and it's not like they won't because the market responds to what people demand. A great example of this is cage-free movement in the US, as more people became aware of the welfare issues. This public pressure led some of the country's biggest food producers and retailers to change their policies affecting tens of millions of hens. Stores like Whole Food and Trader Joe's, along with major restaurants, didn't make the switch because it was cheap or convenient. They did it because the customers demanded better. And this didn't happen overnight. Those changes were the clear outcome of millions of small consumer choices adding up into the powerful message the industry couldn't ignore. The ripple effect goes far beyond animal welfare. When shoppers choose ethically produced eggs, they're also shaping food safety standards, environmental practices, and even working conditions for farm employees. Farms that focus on ethics tend to offer safer environments for workers, handle waste more responsibly, and cut back on chemicals or antibiotics. So every time someone picks pasture-raised or certified humane eggs instead of the cheap factory-farmed kind, they're voting for a system that values quality, safety, and responsibility over sheer volume and low prices. But this isn't just about avoiding the harm. It's about the influence, the power to shape what kind of industry we support. When you realize that your choices bring real change, that's when shopping stops being a routine task and starts becoming a form of support for something bigger. Sure, one carton does not make a difference, but when multiplied with millions of shoppers, the outcome is massive. It gives a loud and clear message to the producers that we care about animal welfare, the environment, and the people working behind the scenes. And companies? They listen because why not? Their bottom line follows their consumer values. So, the next time you're in the egg aisle, remember you're not just picking breakfast. You're casting a vote for the kind of food system and the kind of world you want to support. When conscious choices add up, they have the power to reshape the industry for animals, people, and the planet alike. Don't trust the cheap carton in your fridge. What's the worst grocery store secret you've discovered? Drop it in the comments below. Want to see what other foods are hiding dangers? Click the video on the left. And for more food industry secrets, hit subscribe now.